Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Short Stories from the Mind of a Madman. I'm your host, Attorney Garcia. We got a great show for you today. Today we're taking a look at my short story, Death Trades. It's actually one of my favorite short stories. This one right here, John doesn't want to die, and when he is offered a choice to extend his life at the cost of another, he may find the price is too high. And with my friend and fellow author, Ray, he is going to tell a little bit about himself after we come back from the intro. Yeah, we're going to have a great show for you now. We got our drinks set up. We got the microphone set up. I think we got rid of as much of the technical difficulty as we can this week. Every week's a new adventure. So hopefully this episode is a little bit cleaner than the last couple weeks. So thank you for joining us again tonight. And then I will see you on the other side of the intro. All right, welcome back, and welcome to another great show. I'm excited about having my friend Ray here. I've been trying to get him on here for a while now. Just seems that we're both very busy. I live here, so I don't really have to go anywhere. So sometimes getting friends to come over, I have to get drives to get off work. And this guy is about as much of a workaholic as I am, so he's always busy. So let's see, Ray, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? He's a fellow author. I asked him to bring a copy of this book with him. Which he did, and then he's going to go ahead and maybe tell a little about himself, and then when he starts because most people that come on here are pretty modest, and they're like, oh, I'm a writer, and that's it. So I like to kind of just,
we
tell
can't
us
say that.
more.
We can't just say I'm a writer.
You can't just say that. I mean, you got to come on, you're on my show, which I have no viewers right now, but I'm probably going to get one or two in about 3 minutes. So
well, we have to be ready for them.
We have to be ready for them. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a writer.
And yeah, go on.
So the book Matter of Resistance is wrote a long time ago. I was working on a NASA program and got inspired, and so it's kind of a young adult science fiction novel, pretty easy to read if you're looking for that kind of thing.
And you said they can find it on Amazon?
Amazon or Smashwords or your name. I think you can find it anywhere if you search for Matter of Resistance.
Okay, very nice.
But yeah, so I haven't written really much since. Were we audio free?
No, I think we were going. I think we had audio. Holy crap! No, I saw mine moving. I don't know what happened.
Nice. Anyway, so I'm not nearly as prolific. I spend my day hours writing more for a living, and so the fiction is fun, but I haven't done much in terms of writing stories. My current hobby is more writing movie scripts.
Yeah,
but none are out there, so I can't.
He's really great at doing screenplay stuff. He actually comes in. I enjoy talking to Ray. We bounce a lot of ideas off each other. If you've ever done your writing, or if you've done anything like artwork or anything really, it's good to have people that you're around you can bounce ideas off, get the creative juices going. I find that after just short conversations with Ray, I find myself able to get back into writing fairly easy. But yeah, so he's been over a few times. He comes over. We like to enjoy cigars together, kind of chat. We used to work together, so I tend to form lifelong bonds. A lot of people that I build acquaintances with, and Ray's definitely been a close friend. I think even more over the last 6 months of stuff. It's like now that I'm living here, we got our own things going on, but we really got a chance to kind of hang out. So I'm really happy that he was here. But you know what? Enough about him. I'm done. I already know about his book. I told him to embellish. I didn't know it was going to go on this long. Sorry.
That's all I got.
No, I'm just kidding. Now we're going to talk about me. No, I'm just kidding. We are going to talk about me. But anyways, so I did want to just say I also have a book out. I do have Sins of the Fathers that came out in 2015. I am working on a new cover, so this is the first edition. The new edition will be coming out probably in a couple months. So you can check that out on Amazon as well. I'm also had a book that came out with 2010 when I was doing personal training called Weight Loss for the Rest of Us. You can find both of those on Amazon. But the thing I'm really kind of excited about now is I do have a new book coming out called Short Stories from the Mind of a Madman. This is the proof I just got in, which is I designed the cover. Right now I'm just kind of letting friends look at it. I'm going through and editing, make sure it looks good. This will be coming out August 1st. August 6th, I'll be doing a live signing of all the books that were pre-ordered When I get the shipment in until August 6th.
By live, you mean virtual live?
Yeah, it's virtual live. Yeah, live like this. When I say live, this is about as close as I get to
No
doing
6 feet apart
things.
lines.
Yeah, you're gonna see me on screen signing this, and then just have to use your imagination about me going to the post office the next day. And mailing it. So I'm pretty excited. Short Stories of the Mind of Madman. This is actually a compilation of my 25 short stories. Death Trade that we're doing tonight is on it.
What are you calling it? Death trade?
Death Trade. So,
Okay.
yeah. Surprisingly, I'm better picking titles than I am names. So, one of the characters in this doesn't even have a name. I just gave up. Like,
The man.
The
You called him
man.
the man.
He's just.
You told me I was playing the man.
You're the
I
man.
didn't,
And sometimes I want
I
to
thought
get
this was a good
really
thing.
crazy. I go with the man in black or, the man with a gun. Just something to kind of make it more descriptive.
When you can't
but
think of names.
when I can't think of names, I just give them the man.
The easy thing to do is street signs. Look at street signs. Those are good name sources.
That's actually a pretty good idea. I thought one day I'd buy like baby names, like I get that book for like
Yeah,
book
but
of
then you
baby
fall
names.
into a hole.
Then you start coming down like now I just want a
Yeah.
baby because I want to name something.
Just pick like
Stories or
a
enough.
street or go to Google Maps, pick all the streets.
And see, as you can see, this is why it helps to have bounce ideas all back and forth with him because I got a new way of getting names. I'm driving them. You're like, all right, you're now Main Street.
Yep.
you're now Second Main. That's your name.
Why are all your characters named Martin Luther King Jr.? Boulevard.
It's the one I see the most of when I travel. So check out the book. It's available for pre-order right now, $9.99. It'll be regular price $12.99 when it comes out later on. And another thing I want to kind of show off is this new shirt that I had. So I'm getting to the merch, and this is the shirt that we're actually giving away. So not the one I'm wearing, but I'll get you your own. But I'll actually, at the end of the show, be going over what you can do to be entered to win a free shirt. And so I plan on doing a lot more free stuff as we go. I designed the shirt. I did design the shirt, as you can see. I still have a little bit. I'm going to go back and clean it up a little bit because you kind of see how it has a little square. Surprisingly, it's a good quality shirt, even though it's iron-on as opposed to the screen because they're less expensive and they do the print on demand. It's actually very thin, so it's not as some of the shirts I've had made. It's almost like solid, like bulletproof, and like you can't fold or anything. This is actually really nice. Only thing is when I was matching the color, the background color to the shirt in the picture, it wasn't exactly black, so I kind of made it so when you go on the website, it looks like one graphic. But now that I've got it in, and I mainly wanted to get it because I want to see if the shirt was really black or if it was a gray or a lighter
You
black.
can't do it without a background?
No, you can't do transparent. I tried, but they don't cut. The only way really they would have to cut around. There's really no transparency. I tried, but what I can do now that I know the shirt is actually black and not like go off black, I can go back and actually just make it pitch black, blend in much better. So stay tuned towards the end of the episode to find out how to get one of these for free. All right. So, ready to get into the story?
Oh yeah. What's it called again? Death something?
This is Death Trade.
Trade.
Yes. And like I said, I have fun find the names for these because I try to do like a short story a week. Sometimes I get up to like 3 to 5 short stories a week. So I don't have time to really get really good at ink on. So it's like a lot of times when people are writing books, sometimes they'll not even just come up with the title of the book until it's like almost done because they may have like a name they put in at first, but as they're going through, like what, maybe a line from it, The Fault in Our Stars or something will come up in a paragraph. So I'm like, that's a much better name, and go back and fix it. But with short stories, it's kind of like I got to pump these names out, people, titles, stories out, the graphic design, I got to make the covers for all these short stories. So.
Is that why your
I
name
ain't
is
got time for that. So that's called Death Trade, not some awesome name that better describes, what's
That's
going
why
on.
your name is John and my name's the man.
Yes, Ray. That's why I'm John and you're the man.
I'm just asking.
I came up with John and then I gave up. And I'm like, that's as far as I go. Heaven forbid I had like more than like 2 characters in there. Then I really had trouble. Molly, Martha, and Mary Ann. It's like they'll get very.
So don't tell me your name because
I will steal it, especially if it's a good name. I just realized the TV's like still on, so man, this makes me make it darker. Oh, not too much. All right. Sorry, it's like because I get distracted. I'm like a squirrel, so I'll be like watching this, and all of a sudden YouTube would come on and be like, "Why was the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie so bad?"
I've been wondering that question for quite a while.
Right. You had to work to make it that bad. So we're gonna get into the story. So this one, I had a fun one with It's pretty much a gentleman who's about to die, makes a deal to extend his life, but it doesn't come with a cost. So I will be the narrator and doing the voice of John. He will be doing the man. Ray is the man. He can now go around saying that. Where were you? I was the man. All right, so let's get started. So John knew it was time. As his heart tightened, he began to see flashes of his life appear before him. He didn't want to die, so he began to mentally beg for his life. But there was no one there to hear him. He was alone in his apartment. There was no one to witness his struggle, and no one to call for help. John was going to die alone, and he knew it. And I can tell you, as I'm reading this, like the story, I kind of remember where I was at when I started writing this. Sometimes
Emotionally?
Not so much emotionally, but one thing I've always been worried about is like having a stroke alone. You know, it's like one thing, you know, when you're, you know, live with other people, if you have a medical issue, then people come in. But when I first read the story, I'm like, you know, this is kind of like something that kind of like terrifies me.
This was the day you were working on your will?
This is when I was working on my will. It's like, really, if I die right now, the only time they'll know I'm dead is when work calls, fires me, and the landlords come. Like,
Tony
you know, my friend
knew
was
it was
dead.
time. I mean, John.
John, right. I had to go back and change it. But creatively, I changed it from 2 syllables to 1 syllable. Yeah.
Very nice.
The world started to turn gray, and he felt himself slipping away. But then he saw a dark figure standing off in the corner watching him. John stretched out his hand, unable to speak. Suddenly, John found himself surrounded by a swirling black mist. He felt like he was in the center of a tornado. He whipped around back and forth, trying to understand what was happening, when the dark figure he had seen in the corner only moments before walked through the swirling storm and approached him.
Hello, John.
The man said. The man, so intimidating. Actually, I feel calm. I feel like you're going to say,
hello,
me.
John.
Hello, John. The ball dancing.
Howdy.
I should have made howdy.
Howdy.
Howdy. You can't break the ice. Howdy. Are you here to save me? No. The man was wearing an all-black suit and looked young, but his eyes revealed that he was much older than the outside appearance suggested. Who are you? John asked, still afraid to die, but also afraid of the storm surrounding him and the man before him.
It's complicated.
The man replied with a grin.
You can think of me as a wish granter of sorts. When people want to be rich or famous, I'm the one that makes it possible. In your case, I'm here to give you a second chance at life.
John stood unsure, but curious.
Bottom line is...
The man continued. Damn it! I really should have these like in paragraph form. I didn't plan ahead when I wrote these.
You gotta write it like a script.
I do.
Death will be here soon to claim you. But I thought I'd take a moment to offer you a chance to survive this heart attack and continue living.
Yes, John answered quickly. Please, I don't want to die. The grin on the man's face grew.
I was hoping that would be your answer.
The man reached inside his pocket and pulled out a parchment of paper.
You'll have to sign this contract. And of course, there's a slight disclaimer.
Disclaimer? John asked.
Yes. You see, death will still need to claim a soul. So, to save yours, I'll have to direct him to take someone else instead.
The man saw the expectant worried look on John's face. He had seen it countless times, on countless faces, but he knew it wouldn't sway him for long.
But don't worry.
The man assured him.
It won't be anyone you know, and people die all the time. So it's not like it'll make much of a difference in the end.
John didn't need any more convincing than that. The man handed John the contract and pen, which John quickly signed.
Very good.
The man said, pulled the contract and put it back in his jacket pocket. John, still nervous about being in the eye of the storm, asked, "What now?"
Now, you go back to living your life.
The man replied, raising his hand and snapping his fingers.
John, snap.
Huh? There you go, yes. I was going to do it for you. You're my guest. I do the snapping for you. But, yeah. Plus, you're reaching for your drink. I don't want to interrupt you. Like, you know, he said keeps interrupting me. John opened his eyes and found himself lying on the ground, staring up at the ceiling. His chest no longer hurt, and he was able to breathe normally. He quickly leapt to his feet. He felt like a new man. Couldn't be sure if what had just happened was real, but regardless, he was alive. Over the next week, he joined a gym and began eating healthy. He didn't want to succumb to another heart attack. Like with all of us, as time went by, he began to fall back into his normal routines, and once again, he found himself facing his previous health issues. One day, he was driving home from work and passed a funeral procession, which made him think of the life that he had traded for his own.
You shouldn't dwell on such things.
The man he had made a deal with stated he was now sitting in the previously empty passenger seat. John almost swerved off the road when he heard the man's voice. "What are you doing here?" John asked, regaining control of the car.
Why, I'm here to collect, of course.
The man answered. "Collect what?" John asked nervously.
You.
The man answered matter-of-factly. What are you talking about?" John asked. All he wanted to do was run, get away from this man who now sat beside him.
Well, if you had taken the time to read the contract, you would have seen that your life was only extended for an additional 6 months.
The man replied. "What?" John exclaimed, panic setting in. The man was wearing the same grin he had been wearing when John had met him in that swirling storm.
I'm afraid your time is almost up again.
The man continued. "But I still don't want to die," John pleaded.
No one ever does.
The man replied, shrugging. Enjoying himself and seeing he had John right where he wanted him, the man continued.
Of course, according to the contract, you can ask for extensions, if that's something you're interested in.
John put off the road and looked at the man sitting next to him. "Yes, please," John continued pleading. "I don't want to die so soon. Please ask for an extension." The man pulled out another parchment pen to hand to John. But before John could grab it, he said,
Of course, I must once again remind you of the disclaimer. For you to live another 6 months, another person must take your place.
John hesitated. "Another person has to die?" John asked.
I'm afraid so.
The man confirmed.
Death must have his soul.
The man saw the conflict within John, but was prepared.
John,
The man began with an assuring tone.
think of all the people who have died in the last 6 months. Thousands. You think one more would truly make a difference?
John's desire to live helped him rationalize his dilemma. "But for only 6 months? 6 more months?" John continued. "Trade for another soul? I should get at least another year. If another person has to die so I can live, should I get more time?" He thought, hoping the man would agree.
I'm afraid not.
The man said plainly. "Then I can't sign," John said, hoping the man wouldn't call his bluff. He did.
Then I'm afraid this is the end, my friend.
The man said.
Without an extension, it's your time to die.
"All I'm asking for is another 6 months," John pleaded. The man faked a saddened look.
I'm afraid the contract you signed is very clear and cannot be changed.
The man said.
I'm afraid it's just out of my hands.
John thought hard, but in the end, while he felt guilty about someone dying because of him, his desire to live was greater. He reached over, grabbed the contract, and quickly signed it.
Very good.
The man said, tucking away the contract.
I'll see you again in 6 months.
John knew the man had vanished without even having to look over the now empty seat. People die all the time, he tried to convince himself. John sat there, clutching the steering wheel, trying to come to terms with what he had done. Every morning, John would look at the obituaries. Instead of worrying about who may have taken his place, he used to justify his actions. It was a reminder that people die every day, and one more wouldn't be noticed. The deed was done. He was going to enjoy the extended time he was given. After the next 6 months had passed, John had an easier time renewing his contract. "Will I be able to live forever if I keep signing these renewals?" John asked after several years had passed.
I'm afraid not.
The man replied.
Too much attention would be drawn if a person lived too long.
Hesitantly, John asked, "So how much longer do I have to live?"
When you get to an age where people start to notice, it's usually when the contract will permanently expire.
The man explained.
I've had people live to over 100 before, so there's a good chance you will too.
Do you offer these contracts often? John asked.
Routinely.
The man replied.
Though most don't sign because they feel the price is too high.
Real quick. What was that? That is good. I want to start trying to get in the habit.
Catching your typos?
Catching my typos. Yes, you saw them. I know as a fellow writer, you had to see some of them, like the 2 with only 1 O. I saw that, and then.
How do you do?
Do you do? Do you do what you do with others do? Do you offer? Not do you do offer.
There's a question mark at the end of my first line on that page. If a person lived too long.
Let's see. I'm afraid not. Too much. Oh yeah, that should be a question mark. Yeah, too much attention will be drawn to a person who lives too long. Yeah. So I'm trying to get out of fixing that. These are gonna go on my next volume of short stories. So rather get it now than when I read my own stuff, short stories.
You should do an episode where you're have a whole row of editors sitting here.
And all they do is
welcome to the panel, Tony.
That would be great for my ego. That would be awesome. I could just sit here and you guys can just correct me for 45 minutes. It's like being married again.
Panel editors.
You're wrong. Wrong. Although if you do want to see what I go through, like when I do these podcasts the first times, You know, you check out the behind the scenes. And I do send like custom storms, especially when I keep messing up certain lines and stuff, because I got to go back and edit it after I'm done recording it. You know, so if I mess up, it's twice the work. I got to redo the sentence, and I got to go and post and take that sentence out. So I try to get as much as I can the first take, so I get pretty frustrated if, especially if I forget to turn off like the bottom of my phone and stuff. It's like you really get to see the angry me on the podcast. This is the more relaxed Bacardi and Coke with a good friend. You know, routine my work. You know, in a chill setting.
You opened the
I did open that door. He was going to be a complete gentleman. He was going to let it go, you know. But I had to open that up. But it's I need to have people like correct me, because if I'm going to be charging people money, I got to make sure it's not saying "do you do" offer, because they will notice it. I've noticed it in books that I read, where they don't write to the author, you know. Say, what the hell? I paid $7 for
As an author, you're like, it's okay, dude. I'm gonna keep reading.
That's right. I get it.
I can't catch everything.
I feel you. So let's see here. Oh yeah. So you did your part. His culpability and others' deaths weighed on him. But with all the ones that accept, I don't hear many stories of people living over 100 often. John pointed out.
True.
The man agreed.
Over time, the guilt of trading lives for another becomes too much to bear, and they stop renewing their contracts.
John felt guilty for trading other lives for his, but over time he was able to justify it and came to terms, not had, or had come. Sounds better, had come or came to terms? Had come to terms or came to terms?
I don't know.
Thanks!
I think it's okay as is. I think it's probably
And,
all right.
and come to terms?
He was able to come to terms.
He was able to justify it and come to terms. Yeah, that's right. That sounds good. Okay. It's present.
You might not need the comma, but
Yes. You know what? Ever since Microsoft took away that little paperclip guy, I get a little lost sometimes. I miss Clippy for sure. Looks like you're writing a novel. Would you like some help with that? Yes,
like
Clippy.
you're poor.
Will you write it for me, Clippy? Absolutely. Here's a template. Just change 3 words. That'd be awesome. Let's see. Come to terms with it. He couldn't understand how all the others weren't able to do the same.
Due to their guilt, many began looking into who may have taken their place.
The man explained.
But it only leads to feeding the guilt.
Why? John asked. There's so many deaths in the world every day. How could they even begin to suspect who had taken their place? The man grinned at John. He enjoyed this part.
They start, just as you are now, by asking this very question.
The man replied. He wasn't going to ask John if he wanted to continue with the conversation. He wanted John, just like the others, to know the truth.
The ones that take your place every 6 months are easy to spot. They die the same day your contract is signed, and their death normally stands out.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. John didn't like the sound of that. What do you mean, stands out, John asked.
I've already told you enough,
The man said.
I have to go. Other appointments to be kept. Take my advice. Don't pursue trying to discover who the people are that take your place. Continue living in blissful ignorance and enjoy your life.
The man knew he had planted the seed and would enjoy what would follow. Before John could ask any more questions, the man was gone. John tried to ignore the curiosity that was eating away at him, but the very next day, he began to investigate who may have taken his place. He went to the library and found the newspaper for the day of his heart attack and when he first signed the contract. Just like the man had said, one story stood out. A family had been in a car accident, with only one family member being rushed to the hospital. It was a little girl of 8. She had been placed in stable condition when suddenly she passed. Doctors were not able to determine the exact cause of death. They said there must have been some internal hemorrhage due to blunt force trauma. They had it detected previously. John wished he hadn't looked. He had expected to have been an adult that took his place. Maybe an elderly person who was going to pass soon anyways. That's how he had been justifying to himself all this entire time. He was afraid to learn any more, but he felt he was already down the rabbit hole and owed these poor victims to find out what he had done. The next article he found was another child who was hit by a car. The driver wasn't intoxicated. He swore the child wasn't in the street 1 second, and then he was. Too close for him to stop. The child was 6. John's heart and stomach wrenched as he read each account of the child dying horribly the same day he renewed his contracts. When he had gone through all the dates, he slowly walked out of the library. He felt like he was in a daze. Outside the library, he watched people walk. I didn't take out the outside of the library, just take outside. Started saying Same. I have a habit of doing that, saying the same thing over and over again. I realize it when I'm reading it or I'm listening to it. It happens. It happens. Outside, he watched people walk up and down the street. Every time he saw a child, they appeared to him. One of the ones that he had died because of him. He couldn't take it. He ran to his car and drove away until he found himself driving on a country road. He pulled off the side, opened the glove box, and pulled out the gun. He knew what he had to do. He couldn't live knowing what his extended life had cost. He put the gun to his mouth and pulled the trigger. The man sat in the passenger seat chuckling.
Oh, I'm afraid it's not that easy.
The man said once John had pulled the gun out of his mouth and realized though the gun went off, it did no damage. What? John mumbled.
I'm afraid you can't die until your contract expires.
The man explained. John broke out in tears. I can't live with the knowledge of the cost of extended life. My extended life is costing me, John cried. The man's grin grew.
But I'm afraid you'll have to.
The man said.
Since you decided to get curious and learn the truth, you'll have to live the next 6 months living with the knowledge you obtained.
No, please no, John pleaded. John was about to become more forceful with the stranger. When he turned to confront him, he was gone. Over the next 6 months, John locked himself in his room, unable to face what he had done. Everywhere he went, he was confronted with children who he saw as future victims of people like him who chose to trade death for someone else. When the man appeared in John's apartment, he was amused at seeing the windows boarded up and the rank smell of a man who hadn't left his room in months and didn't shower often. He walked into John's bedroom, found him laying in a fetal positions in soiled clothes. Still wearing the amused look, the man said,
Shall I assume that you do not wish to renew your contract?
John only groaned.
I'm afraid I must also point out another disclaimer within the contract.
The man said. John continued to lay in the fetal position, facing away from him.
You see,
The man continued.
what you did is considered abhorrent to the powers that be. I'm afraid when you do decide to die, you will be going to a very special part of hell, where you'll be tortured beyond what you can imagine that word to mean.
John slowly rolled over to face the man. What? John asked.
I'm afraid that if you think life is bad, what lays beneath for you is a million times worse.
The man explained. John began to cry. He knew what was coming.
But death doesn't have to come now.
The man explained.
You can stay deaf for years. All you have to do is renew this contract.
As John took the contract and pen, he wished he was brave. He wished he had never tried to cheat death. He wished he wasn't going to be the cause of so much death, so much suffering. But in the end, he was more afraid of what awaited him than the monster he had become. He wept as he signed the contract. I have to say, this is probably one of my more powerful stories. You know, some of my stories, like when I write, I kind of go back and I'm like, yeah, it's a fun story to write. But every once in a while, I read some of these. I have a few of them that are coming up, like What Adventures Await. That's one of my favorites. And some that just really, you know, just to me, just
This is a
I
thought-provoking one.
I feel accomplished in writing that story. Like this one is really, you know, really neat. I mean, I don't really touch a lot of sensitive subjects. You know, I'm not that kind of writer like delving deep. But the fact that children are dying and that to me just seemed much more palatable than, you know,
Children are dying,
you
that's
know, or women dying. To me, it's made more sense why that would be definitely a torment, and of course, justify the action at the end where, you know, realizing that even though he can't believe what he had done and the children are dying, the thought of going to a worse hell that even that's not manageable was worth even more children dying over time. So I thought that was a nice little internal conflict. I watched a lot of Twilight Zone episodes. Some of my favorite episodes are the ones where it's about the internal conflict of right and wrong, when people are willing to justify
It was a rock and hard place.
Huh?
Rock and hard place.
Rock and a hard place, and how people just can justify their actions over time. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight to doing the voice.
Yes.
Next week we'll be doing a short story reflections. That's another fun one to have, although I'm not sure how
The characters are John and the man.
Let's see, Ron. Actually, this one, the main character's name is Ron. So, no, not John. And I think he might be the only character, so there's no the man's in this one. So, look into a reflection. What do you see? For Ron is himself being murdered over and over again in an alternate universe. Will he be able to cope with never being able to look into another reflective surface again? So I'm looking forward. That should be a pretty exciting one. Yeah, reached out to a couple people to be on that show for sure. I'm always looking for, guests to come on. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. I have a lot of family and friends that, that I love to have over. The best part, I don't want to say the best part, but another fun part of the show is afterwards, him and I will be hanging out for a little bit, having a drink and smoking a cigar and just kind of hanging out for a little bit. But if you would like to be a guest on the show, please, message me, if you're not like friends in real life. I'm looking for, if you're an entertainer, if you're in a band, if you're a writer,
editor,
an artist, an editor, you really like to critique people.
If you're a group of editors.
If you're like really just like correcting people, come on in. You can like read this and you can correct me the entire episode. So I'm always looking for, guests, and I like to, especially have people on that are part of, if you're part of an organization or you're a writer, something like that, so I can let people know to follow you, let people know to check out your book and stuff. It's a big accomplishment. I mean, it really is. I mean, my first novel took me 10 years to write, so I can tell you, like, if you're an artist, a writer, a painter, or musician, something like that, trust me, I feel how much work and passion goes into that, so I love to have people on here to kind of share that passion. Don't forget also to check out my various books, Sins of the Fathers and Weight Loss for the Rest of Us online. Now, and of course, this one pre-order, taking pre-orders now for $9.99 until the end of the month, on August 6th. When the first shipment comes in, I'll actually be doing a signing here on my show.
Is there a story in that one?
This one, Dead Trade, is in that one. So
nice.
This is like the first 25 short stories. These are the abridged versions. So these are the ones that are just like the ones I published in the podcast. But now that you can actually check these out, I'm actually about ready to reach 50 short stories here in the next week or so. So it'll be another month or two before another book comes out. But then it might be like 3 or 4 months before another one back comes out. Often I can do some live. So make sure you check that out. Also, if you like this shirt, this is actually one that I designed. It says, I'm a writer. I create and destroy a whole world, explode the planet. These normally will sell for $19.99. Like I said, I'm going to fix that square thing, so don't worry about that. The one you'll get will be better blended. This is kind of a test one to kind of see what kind of materials they use. So, but if you do want to get a free shirt, the contest we're having now, it'll be till the end of July. It's just tag a friend in this episode. So just go down, tag a friend. Every friend you tag will be an entry. So what I'll do is every entry they get in, I'll just randomly put it in, probably like an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. Let it choose for me or some other app I can find. Take the human factor out of it. Randomly pick a person who will get a free shirt shipped to them. So just do that. So if you're watching now, if you're watching this later, all up until the end of July 2020, make sure you put that year in there. So July of next year, people are still trying to sue me, like, where's my shirt? End of July 2020, just tag a friend, which means there's only 3 more episodes. Like this episode, like 2 more episodes. So, a really good chance of you winning if you just, tag a friend. Really, my idea is to kind of get the show out there. So, like, comment, and share. Of course, if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe so you can get content on this. Really, I just want to try to get the show out there, get my short stories out there. I've been writing for years, and honestly, there's just, there's not a lot of people looking for short stories, on YouTube and stuff. So, I love every single subscriber that I get. So everybody subscribes, you're my new best friend. So that's how that works. So let's see here. Real quick too, I'm also on Patreon, too, under Antonio Garcia Books. So if you like to support me for just as little as $1 a month, you can get behind the scenes of all my podcasts recorded. I live stream those, and then I have them available on Patreon. They're only available on Patreon. They're not available on anywhere else, YouTube or anywhere else. They're only available on Patreon. And $1 a month lets you get behind the scenes. And as I have other tiers, you get free shirts, free books, and all that for being a patron. So if you'd like to support me, please go check that out. And the only tier I have right now is that $1 a month. So it's not there to make money, really. It's just there to kind of help offset some of the cost that goes into ordering shirts, and buying books, and making all that. So every little bit helps. So thanks again so much for joining me. Ray, thanks you again for coming in. Join me again next week when we do that short story reflections. And now, are you ready to go smoke a cigar?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. The sun's still shining out there.
Thanks
so much. Thank you. And thank you guys for joining me. And I will see as soon as I get the mouse over. Right now it's just awkward. I've already said goodbye. And now I got to move over. We have to stare at each other until I come over to stop record. There we go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll see you again next week.